Good day, everyone. This is Dude. As you saw from the title card, this is going over getting trigeminal neuralgia diagnosed. Now, in the background, I have on the plastic duck simulator because it needs something a little light as I talk about this heavy topic. So, trigeminal neuralgia does not have any outward signs. It is a condition that is entirely internal. So you don't see anything, but you feel it, to say the least. It's also a condition that normally affects mostly women and above the age of 50. So it adds some challenges. Now, does that mean that there's cases of young children getting this and many both males and females, but statistically it's older women. So yeah, being a male in my young 30s made it a little more challenging to get diagnosed. First off is thankfully I had a great doctor that I regularly see, and by regular I mean I saw her once a year or when I had a major illness. So she knew me and knew that when I was saying I was in pain, I wasn't just trying to look for medications. Now, admittedly, that was the first step, was trying some different medications. And I've some of them were those harder opioid ones, and they did nothing. So the next step was I was referred to ear, nose, and throat doctor. And getting that scheduled, the doctor also had me go have a CAT scan done. So I had the CAT scan on a disc, went to see the ENT, and the dude looked at me like I was crazy when I was describing my problems. He's like, okay, and you have a CAT scan? I said, yeah, gave him the CD with the CAT scan imaging on it, looked at it at most. I mean, it's like, oh, you need surgery, you have a deviated septum. I'm pretty sure he never actually opened the damn files. And it's going, I was having a flare up at that time, so I'm like, okay, cool, I'll talk, get things, the next steps rolling to even have that scheduled. And they'd call me, talk to the people up front, and have my mother with me because, again, talking sometimes was a bit of an issue, but got that worked out, so they'd call me to schedule things for future. Well, thankfully, the flare up died the next day and allowed me to think there for a second, going, something felt wrong about how that doctor treated me. So I called up the general practitioner, my normal doctor, primary care doctor, that's the one I wanted to say. Called up my primary doctor and said, I don't like how I felt after that appointment. Can you refer me to someone else, a different ENT? They said, no problem. Got a referral, was able to get in shortly after. They finally called to schedule surgery, and I said, I'm gonna hold off. Just something seems off, and I want a second opinion. And all they could say was okay. So I go to the second opinion. They had me do another CAT scan. I leave. They gave me medicine, which at that moment helped. It was more for migraines. It may have just been placebo or just when it was ramping down, but it seemed to help some. Although it did make my head feel like it was going to just fall off the back of my head because it felt like it was 1,000 pounds. But that was a minor side effect versus the pain. So, go back in about a week later, and doctor has me in his office, has a computer screen, pulls up my CAT scans, and go, yeah, on both of these, you have a very minor deviation, which is completely normal, shouldn't be affecting you any. And just to confirm, he pulled in another doctor from a practice and went, yeah, there's nothing wrong. And the funny part is, this particular practice also does a lot of plastic surgery. So that was a lot of money they were saying, no, we can't help you. Here's a neurologist we recommend. Now, mind you, this process has already taken over a year's time from when I first went to my doctor about, hey, I'm having pain, to getting to see the neurologist. This has not been fun. So, see the neurologist and going, okay, we're going to prescribe you this one medicine. If it seems to help, it's going to more or less help prove you have this one condition. In the meantime, we're going to have you do an MRI as well. So, give the med, and it was Tegretol, carbamazepine, or anyway, I'm not familiar with. I just know its main name is Tegretol. Anyway, MRIs are fun when you're a larger person. Nothing like being shoved into a tube for an hour with your head strapped in. But I still don't understand this. Every time I've had an MRI, I have not had a flare-up during those times. It's been miraculous. Day before, day after, but the day of it lucked out, because that would have been extra level miserable when you have to lay completely still, and it's hard to stay still when you're in that much pain. So, got the MRI. They didn't really see anything on the MRI, but the medication had been helping, and for several years it was, okay, you go the medicine route because it's the quote-unquote safer route. And for several years it helped, and got on a few others like Lyrica. Before I was suggested to go see a specialist at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, I was on max dosage of Lyrica and Tegretol and an injectable that I did once a month that was more for migraines. But if it helped at all, I was all for it. So first thing they did, saw the specialist, the surgeon, and had what was referred to as a rhizotomy. Well, first attempt failed. And kind of made things a little worse at first. Then a month later, tried it again, the rhizotomy, with what is referred to radiofrequency aplasia, where they use essentially radiofrequency to heat up the nerve, and then the rhizotomy, which is a liquid they put on the nerve to essentially burn it chemically to actually prevent the pain signals. That worked, lasted a good year. That was a good year. Then it came back. The rhizotomy again, lasted a few months. Went back, had it done again, failed. But thankfully during that time I had lost over 100 pounds, because Lyrica will help you keep weight on. Oh, Lyrica will cause you to gain weight. I mentioned in my last video, I went 11 days without eating, did not lose a single pound. And yeah, that was also disheartening, but anyway. And during this, so it was around 2020 to the end of 2022 is when I had lost over 100 pounds of weight. So I was able to get the microvascular decompression surgery, which I had last December. And since then, even with I've had the worst flare up the last 2.5 weeks since I've had the surgery, and oh god, this is nothing. I mean, when I was suffering before even on the medications, this would have been considered a good week. As much as this has flared up, this is nothing. And that's one of the things I tell you after the surgery. You're still going to get flare-ups, but we're going to try to get you off all the medications. And it's going to take a while for the nerve to heal. And in my case, I have to heal from where it was originally getting damaged, from where they did the surgery to remove pressure on the nerve, and from the rhizotomies, essentially. So it's going, double-edged sword, but... And there are several treatment methods they could have gone with, but considering the rhizotomies weren't working anymore, the meds were not fun, and I was able to lose enough weight, it was going, can go forth with this procedure, seems to have worked even with minor issues I'm having now. So this is something that has gone over the span of about 8 years so far. So yeah, it's not fun. And it's not like any of these are quick steps. And I've had many an MRI, and I really do hate MRIs. That last one was a more intensive MRI. Had stickers and all on my head, and had to wear those for a day so they could properly align the microscopes for when they were going in to do the nerve surgery. And they did, on that one, they were able to go, we see a little bit of compression, and when they got in, they found a few other things which may have been causing the issues, which, considering how much relief I've had, I'm pretty sure they were dead on. And again, I was lucky. I was close enough to Baltimore and Johns Hopkins where I could get these procedures done relatively easily. Just scheduling is always a challenge. And I'm very thankful for the doctors I've dealt with. I've also dealt with crappy ones. And that's my main takeaway is this is a challenge to get diagnosed. It's going to suck. People are going to look at you like you're just trying to get medications to get high or something. Also, I wish some of these medications would have gotten me high. In retrospect, medical marijuana might have been allowed, but also work a federal job, so that's also a no-no. But even, and I need to work to have the insurance to pay for the meds and the surgeries, and yay. So it's not like I could just go, I'm gonna go on this. No, I needed to work to be able to do that. And it's one of those, I have a nice paying job, hence why I have all these sets that I've been building, and the cards, and also why I have such a backlog of them, because it's kind of like, I saved up, I buy, and then I'm not feeling well enough to build. But it's one of those, you have to go to doctors. If one isn't listening to you, find another doctor. It sucks. it delays things, but in the long run, it's your best option. And if something feels off and you don't like what someone's saying, get a second opinion. And I can tell you, I told one of the nurses who was prepping me for a rhizotomy about how I had gotten a second opinion on the ENT, and they went, I've never actually heard someone having to get a second opinion before. And that's the thing. A lot of people just don't always do that because you're going to a professional, you believe they have your best interest at heart. Just that one ENT, I could tell it did not have my interest. They were poo-pooing everything I was saying to start with. So when I had a moment of clarity to think after the appointment, I went, yeah, this was not good. Move on. So I know it's not the greatest outcome, I can tell y'all, but it's what I've gone through. It's the truth that I know. So I hope anyone who is listening to this, because most likely if you are, you're also dealing with this condition, or you know someone who is, it's a challenge. It's a long road, but there are good solutions. It's just walking those steps to get there is a challenge. So in my next video, I will be going into how to do some of the pain management, both the medical, surgical, and some of the outside methods that I have used. So thank you. Have a good day. Bye.